Hello my friend, and welcome to another picnic table talk here on my channel. If you haven't been here before, this is my backyard and this is where I like to make my videos, and today we're talking about the ultimate handheld rig for the Fuji XH2S. Because I don't know all the YouTubey things, I should say up front that Small Rig sent me some of the components for this rig here, the XH2S cage along with the top handle and a few others, in exchange for me to talk about it here in this video, but they don't have any control over what is said. And I'm going to talk honestly about my experience with this rig as well as rig stuff in general, kind of my philosophy. Let's go ahead and just start talking about this here handheld rig. So all credit goes to my friend Blaze Pivovar. Go check out his YouTube channel walking through this build. He is awesome and he has made a really incredible little thing here. So please go support his channel. But just walking through some of the components, I won't go over his video about how to build it out. You should go watch that though. Basically you have a side handle, you have a monitor viewing solution, you have a top handle, you have a battery bank built into the back here with the setup, and you have a quick stand down on the bottom from Kessler, and that quick stand allows you to just simply place it instead of having to worry about how you're setting it down or it being misbalanced or things like that. This is why it's a handheld rig, is because you are able to quickly and easily pick it up, go on the move, and set it back down. Right off the top, I will point out that the handheld setup here that we have makes for a little bit of a problem if you're trying to quickly get this thing onto a tripod setup or anything else. And that is because of the Kessler quick stand that is attached to the bottom. You can go see that in Blaze's video, but that's a really handy feature for placing it down quickly and easily. But you could also just take that off and you could mount your own plate on the bottom here. But the real attraction to this thing is how quickly it all comes apart and you can go back down to a really lightweight handheld rig. So that's kind of the overview of what this thing is that it's a really attractive, easy handheld rig option that provides you a viewing solution, an additional hand grip which is comfortable and still allows you to manually focus if you want to, still allows you to zoom if you want to, and you have a built-in battery solution for both your monitor so that you don't have to have a battery here, and for your camera so that you can have active power delivery. So that's kind of an overview of what this whole thing is, but now let's get into some of the specifics about rig stuff. I tend to be the person who wants to run and gun as light as possible. I don't even want to have something this small as a rig. This is a tiny thing as far as rigs go. I don't even want this typically, but I will say that this has come in very handy for me when wanting to have a battery solution and a viewing monitor. Those two things have been really handy for me. And because I go handheld all day, I don't tend to ever use monopods or tripods or gimbals or other supports. This thing just works. However, if you are wanting to go onto a gimbal, onto a monopod or anything like that, this right here I'm about to show you is my favorite part of the rig. If I just unplug the two cords attached to the battery bank and then I take off the Arca Swiss handle built in here, I can immediately be on the go with only a monitor. But if I don't want the monitor even on there, well then all I have to do is slide the monitor off, remove the HDMI cable, and I now have literally a camera with a cage, and that's it. That's how quickly this thing gets built out and torn back down, all built on the original Arca Swiss plate that is attached to the camera with the cage. So it's that easy, and to me that's a big deal when I am running and gunning and I want to just be torn down back into only a camera very, very quickly. And while I've been talking, I literally rebuilt it that fast. All I have to do is plug back in the cables and I'm on the go again. So honestly, that covers it as far as what this rig is, why I love using it as a lightweight handheld shooter. It works for me. I've used it on whole wedding days, up to 10 hours. And at the end of the day, yeah, I'm maybe a little bit more tired than I would be if I was only carrying a camera around, but the exchange is the peace of mind that comes with having a much larger viewing monitor and hardly ever or never having to change my battery throughout the day if I'm careful. Anyway, some of the pieces here that you can customize and that I'll talk about is small rig built rosette handle that clips on right here with the rosette clamp. This you can actually flip and reverse it so that it's a right handle if you would prefer that. So of course, you know, you can modify and build however you like. You can buy a rosette so that you can attach this on different parts of your rig. And of course, the whole base plate system that Blaze built out, the way that he built it is so that you have rods and you have the ability to expand this thing into a much larger rig if you want to have a matte box, if you want to have a follow focus system. Those are all things that you could expand upward to. But for now, at this lightweight setup, you have something that's extremely agile. So it can be stripped down or built up as far as you want it to be. Right here, it is a dream to handhold, even for very long shoot days where you don't have time to rest. This thing is amazing, but there are cons. And of course, the biggest one is the fact that it's not just a camera and it does get heavy. It is somewhat cumbersome at times, and there are little sorts of things that are always gonna come with a rig. But yeah, it is a bit bigger, it's a bit heavier than, of course, just carrying a camera around. And then there are some other little quirks, and one of them that comes immediately to mind is that with this particular screen setup, having a swivel tilt mount here on the front of the top handle, is that when I want to get a shot up high looking downward, I end up just using the flip screen on the side of the camera here. I don't end up, you know, trying to maneuver my way into seeing the top of the screen here. So that's a very small thing. You know, I periodically still use the camera screen where most times I just have it flipped kind of inward like this. And I can go ahead and fold it all the way against the body of the camera if I want, because the battery attachment does wiggle like this. But I like to just keep it out like that most of the day. And then another one that's small, and this is going to change because, like I said, go watch Blaze's video. The battery solution on the back here is different for anyone who wants to build this. You could buy one of Small Rig's new V-mount batteries, actually. I haven't had a chance to use those. And you could just run a DC line directly into the monitor instead of running a USB-C line. Because there are periodic hiccups with this where I am running power delivery into the camera and I'm running the delivery into the monitor, and sometimes it seems like there's maybe just a surge that happens or something where the monitor will shut off and the camera will remain in power delivery mode, but when the monitor shuts off, it stops recording and it causes like a temporary screen blackout because of the HDMI. Anyway, if you got a small rig or if you got any other V-mount, small V-mount battery here, you could attach it here to this swivel plate, and that would be a great setup. But for the sake of affordability, because this thing is budget, this is not the most expensive build that you'll ever see. So because it's budget, I went with this portable battery bank, and Blaze talks about his portable battery bank. And there are some hiccups and there are quirks with that. But if you're willing to make some workarounds, you can keep your price very, very low on this build. I thought of one last small thing, and that is that I am actually really thankful because on many rig builds, it does feel like they plan a battery solution and they don't plan for you to change your battery or for anything to happen about that. And in this setup, you actually can just remove your battery here. Small Rig makes the cage with like a hinge door there so that it can be form-fitting to the camera, but then you can loosen it and open it up so that you can still take your battery in and out. And that to me is incredibly convenient. I really appreciate the fact that with this rig build, I can take the battery in and out because there are just weird things that happen sometimes and you have to do that. So hopefully this was a quick video just talking you through a little bit of my rig setup here and also why I do and don't love rigs. Honestly, I will continue to use this periodically when the shoot is appropriate, when there are times where I would like to have the larger screen, where I would like to have the battery solution, and at some point I will likely upgrade to a V-mount, probably that Small Rig V-mount battery, something very small in size still, and yet something that's maybe a little bit more legitimate than just a power bank on the back. So for the time being, this thing works, and I'll continue to use it for the shoots that justify it. However, otherwise, when I'm not using it, I might end up just using some of the parts. I might end up just using it with the top handle and the monitor, because like I said, this thing is incredibly versatile and I can swap and switch things around, and because ultimately I want to stay lightweight. So that's probably why for many shoots moving forward, I won't end up using it, but I do love having it around. I like knowing that if I want to build this thing up, I can. If someday I want to add longer rods, go with a matte box, that's an option for me with this setup, and I am stoked on how it turned out. So go say thank you to Blaze, watch his video. Thank you to Small Rig for hooking me up with some of these parts, and I really appreciate you for watching this video. Of course, if you have any questions, as always, leave them down in the comments, and if you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube things, and the real sponsor of this video is, of course, my shop. So if you're looking for LUTs or photo presets or the Fake 8 Film Lab, if that piques your interest, then go check out my shop. Thank you so much, friend, for watching this video, and I hope you have a blessed day. Peace.